Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning. I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky. We're talking about awfulizing today.
Awfulizing. It's a fun word. Like when I heard it the first time, I was like, that's fantastic.
It's a horrible word.
It's
horrible. Awful.
It's
It's a catastrophic word.
But it's so fitting because so many people awfulize or catastrophize.
Oh my goodness. And I did this. I fell into this pattern again. I feel like we do this podcast just to coach me.
I almost wonder if we all awfulize in some area. Like in that area where the stress is super high, where we have those crazy feelings that kind of overtake us, and then we just lean into it. It's falling down the doom loop.
We just got back from our Kansas trip. Many of you know that we went to Kansas for Christmas, and if you've been listening, you know that I get stressed out over the holidays. I literally start getting stressed out. I love Halloween for some reason. And then once Halloween is over, I am like, oh my God, it's Black Friday.
Things start getting fast.
It's
and hectic.
like, yeah, that whole Thanksgiving holiday. And it's like, oh my gosh, people need gifts. And there's just a lot that happens.
It's Thanksgiving, which is my family. Then
there's
Black
travel
Friday, then
plans.
Christmas.
And it feels like the end of the year, so work seems to like, oh my gosh, it's fourth quarter, we got to get all these things done.
Got to wrap up all these goals.
And stress just elevates for me. And it always seems the final popper of the zit, the big white pus that comes out of the zit.
Gross.
I know that's disgusting. But for me, that's when we spend time with family, which went really extremely well. We were having a fabulous trip. I mean, we were just having a wonderful time. We went sledding. We went to see my parents' brand new house, which was absolutely beautiful.
Santa came to visit,
brought presents for everyone. We actually built a snowman, which was so fun. I haven't done that since I was a kid.
Even had a snowman kit that had the coal and the nose and the...
And it turned out the whole family got to come, which we weren't expecting. So that was a nice little surprise. I mean, everything was just turning out magical. All the food, all the preparations, and it was so awesome. And then after everyone left, it was like the day everyone left. I mean, there were days there. I mean, we've got kids and babies and toddlers.
Yeah.
And lots of different big personalities. And I could feel the tension in the room.
It's building.
I could feel it.
Energy.
That's energy. I could feel it in the room. And for some reason, my body was like, oh, I don't know. And as soon as everyone left, I told Jason, I got to go to bed. I'm not feeling well. And my body just gave out. It shut down. I got sick. I don't know if you can still hear it in my nose. I've been sniffling and sneezing and coughing. And then once I went to bed, I was in bed, had diarrhea, and you probably didn't need that detail, did you? But I had taken cold medicine for 2 days. And then,
that
of
always
course,
creates a clear head.
Yes, of course, I'm getting up to go to the bathroom, and my mom says to me in passing, what do you think is wrong with you? And I say, it's being around family. That's what's wrong with me. And of course, that didn't really
that was taken personally.
Fly very well. Yes, that was taken
because they did a great job hosting.
Yes. And then it just, from that point on, it went into a doom loop. Now, when I say it went into a doom loop, it means I said something, and then, of course, I said more. Well, tell me more. Well, then I did. I told more. And
so then it's presenting the evidence of how family causes stress and how
this happens every time, Mom. Every year when I'm around family at Christmas time, I get sick. It happens every year. My body expects it. And of course, they don't know or haven't studied the psychology behind any of this. So they don't understand that our bodies almost become the minds.
Yeah, when you take all your resources and put it towards defending the stress, it doesn't defend against anything else.
It lowers your immune system, is what it does. And so it's not that it's psychosomatic, even though it may seem like that. It's that it's lowering your immune system.
Yeah.
And you are more susceptible to colds and flu and whatnot. And anyway.
The constant going and going and going is going to wear you down. There's a time when your body just says, it's time to stop. And if you don't stop, I'm going to stop you.
And then all of a sudden, when I look back at this magical vacation that we had just taken, the one that I just described to you with a snowman and
a beautiful new house,
sledding,
and getting to see family that we haven't seen in a long time.
All of a sudden I started describing it as, oh my gosh, my dog has a skin condition. I had to take her to the vet twice. I mean, that was a pain in the butt. Everybody was nervous.
It was costly too.
It was costly. It felt like there was so much traffic on the road. I mean, all of a sudden I started seeing, and my reticular activating system started noticing everything that was wrong.
Started recalling all the negative aspects of the trip. It's building that evidence and putting those bricks in the wall. And then you build that wall up so high, and because while you're not having the conversation, while you're laying in bed, you have time to ruminate over those things and awfulize and catastrophize and start building that wall so high that the next time that person comes in contact with you and there's any type of, hey, prove your point now, then you just dump that whole wall on them.
Yes.
And they may not be prepared for it.
And my mom didn't deserve that, which is exactly what I did to my mom. I was like, here are my bricks. I'm not feeling well. Blech. Here you go. And she wasn't expecting it. So there's a ripple effect. There's a ripple effect. So the first lesson I want to say is when you start awfulizing, you are contagious. Ooh. You are contagious. Your energy is always contagious.
That's strong.
And you are affecting everyone around you. And they don't know why. And most people are going to take it personally. Yep. Unless they have training and tools to be able to zoom out and look at this from an eagle's perspective.
Yeah, and when you take it personally, then you're going to fall into that fight, flight, or fawn phase. And you'll see people with that glazed over look in their eye, and that's the fawn. Mm-hmm. You'll see people say, I got to get out of this room, I got to get out of the situation, and they'll just leave, or they will bite back hard.
And then next thing you know, I opened up Pandora's box. Welcome to Jana's world.
And this happens, though, in small situations. It happens in family situations. It happens at work. It happens all over the place. And I do believe that it happens to most people in different areas of their life, even positive people.
And it literally there was a moment where it took a turn. There was a moment, it all just took a turn, and it had to do with me and my state. I was not feeling well. I was drowsy. I was feeling sorry for myself. I had been in bed alone for 2 days. I was thinking, why isn't anyone checking on me? Doesn't anyone love me?
Just another brick in the wall.
Right? I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am home and I'm not feeling well. Why isn't anyone knocking on the door saying, oh my gosh, is there anything I can do for you?
Now let me start building that wall too. Now I'm reinforcing multiple walls to dump on someone.
And then, I get up to go to the bathroom and then I am caught by this, oh my gosh, what do you think is wrong with you?
Or even if it's so good to see you, I'm glad you're feeling better, you still have that wall between the two of you.
And I just happen to say, it's family. That's what's wrong with me. And that just...
Turd in a punch bowl. Fart in church.
And then now, all of a sudden, we've started to awfulize, and I have tainted this whole magical holiday trip.
So it's...
And now I feel guilty and ashamed of myself because the last thing I wanted to do was to bring negative energy to anyone. I always want to uplift people.
So what if it's not you tainting it? What if it's just you allowed it to become tainted? Because all these things did happen.
True.
And now whether it's perception, because we talk about perception a lot.
Yes.
It's all about how we perceive things. But everyone's truth is their truth.
True.
So if you just allowed it to build on the negative, it's not necessarily your fault. It's just you didn't have the capacity through your sickness, through the cold medicine, through all that, to be aware of the evidence you were building and kind of really be aware of what the end outcome was going to be through all this. And as you built that evidence, it just became all you could really see.
Oh yeah. And so now while I'm in this, while I'm thinking about it and I'm awfulizing in my head, it just kept going downhill. As we're driving home, we hit a tire on the way home.
That was scary.
And then we had to pull over and we actually had to take the car to a dealership, which set us back, and then Jason starts getting antsy because he's like, oh my God, I got to get on the road. And we've been on the road now for 2.5 days.
You got to get on the road.
It just
Is
felt
the car
like
going to be fine? I mean, it was a full semi-tire
and
in the middle of the night.
It was in the middle of the night and it scared Tater to death. She started shaking. It scared me to death. I was like, oh my gosh.
It scared me to death. The car in front of us hit it on the side, which popped it up right in the front of us. No going around it. It was like you'd either try to get around it or just go through it. But if you try to get around it, you're going to hit somebody or wreck the car.
Yeah. And then, of course, I could hear everyone saying, well, why were you driving that late at night? Well, because... we wanted to get home. Yeah. We were anxious to get home and we had been stuck in traffic and I wasn't feeling well. We kept having to stop because I had diarrhea. You probably didn't need that detail, which I've given to you twice now.
Everyone loves the juicy details.
Oh, boo! Boo! See how awfulizing works? So let me just give you a couple clues because when you start awfulizing, we start using specific language. We start using general language like always. This always happens. This always happens every single time.
It's kind of like an absolute. You never do this, or this always happens.
Yes.
You never support me.
Yes, or everybody. We start using these general terms and in our heads, it starts feeling very pervasive, permanent, personal. Yep. I mean, it's weird how the distortion starts to happen almost in slow motion.
Yeah, it's the cement that's putting these bricks together and holding it true for you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and because now it's like everybody is against me.
Yes.
Everyone, not some people, not one person, not a couple people. Everyone is against me. This always happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And is that really, and the question is it true? And sometimes if we just pause and get aware of, when we use that kind of language, say, is that true? Is it really true?
Is it absolutely true? Is it absolutely true?
And is there evidence anywhere else that it's not true? And if it's not true anywhere, could it not be true most places? And that I'm just awfulizing a couple incidences and making that the bigger picture instead of the bigger picture, which is really that most people do support me. Most people do love me. It doesn't always happen. It's usually that I'm in a great mood and very positive, but these couple of things spun me out and into a spiral.
And then you start going to worst case scenarios.
Yep.
And you start seeing the absolute pit of everything and everybody and even yourself and God.
Well, when you build that wall up, it's all you see.
Awfulizing. Just be familiar with the term, and the more conscious and aware you are of it, you might catch yourself. And I hope that we save you from going down this path.
Yeah, just turn it around. Turn the car around.
Just say, you know what? I'm not doing this.
I'm not going down that road.
I listened to Jana and Jason today. They talked about awfulizing. I'm not going to be Jana. I'm not going to do that.
My life and time is worth more than to spend it in my renting space out to the negative in my mind.
Ooh, I might have to rewind that and listen to that one again. I won't make you re-say it. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Keep living lucky.
Have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.
If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.